Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This portion listening to the Rabbi again for Achare Mot. I was thinking of how many things he saw in his day. Imagine how he would feel today if he saw what was going on, because it has increased exponentially. And there was a few sentences as I listened again, because I've listened to his message several times. If we don't follow the scriptures, we can lose our lives. And there's so many people who are sick today, who are dying from so many different causes, wars, food, emotion, stress, pure evil. And it's because the world basically is not following scripture. I was thinking last night, my heart was so heavy, and I was thinking, what more can I do? And I think it also happened, I was listening to a young woman speak to a group of Jewish kids in school. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to go into the schools, to be able to say, let's bring back the 10 Commandments. Let's tell them the story of what God did. But I don't know if we're too far gone, but who knows? Maybe God would open that door. You never know. And I remember he mentioned about California, that they were going to censor the Bible. They were mainly because of what it says here about homosexuality. And, I know people who, we all know people who are gay, male or female. And most people believe that they were born that way, that we weren't given a choice. But those of us who believe in God know that our God is merciful and would never force us to do something that goes against his will. Like we would not do something. He would not ask us to do something that we had no choice in the matter. So we have to look at that. And when he was saying about how people boast about how they are, and you see, I don't have to go into detail about it because we all see it. And if we say anything about it, anything against it, we are called homophobes. We are called racists. We're the ones who are wrong. We have to agree with what they say, or there's something wrong with us. And the line also that he said, the Creator gives us over to our own desires. He warns us, he tells us, and if we absolutely refuse, he says, okay, you suffer the consequences now. It's in your hands. And the one line that I remember reading in this scriptures here, that God said, the people who are living in the land now, which was then back in Canaan, the things that they were doing were an absolute abomination. Toeva was the word. And that the land itself would vomit them out. So anyone living in the land of Israel who are doing the ways of abomination, that are abomination to God. And the first verse that was read to me when I first came to God when I was in my 40s was in Deuteronomy 28. And I was told to read all the things that God told Moses, when you go into the land, do not do the abominations of the people who are in there. And I started to read all those things. That was the verse that was shown to me. And I went, oh my goodness, I did that, and I did that, and I do that. All these things that I saw that I did, those were, and I said, abomination to God? How come nobody ever told me? And the scriptures say our people are perishing for lack of knowledge. We don't know, and we don't want to know. I had people telling me all through the years about the Bible. Obviously, I didn't want to know. I had other things that were more important. But the scriptures are clear. And I think it's It's not only in the land of Israel right now. The whole world is doing abominations in God's eyes, and that's why we are suffering the way we are. Yeah, when we think of, he mentioned about Molech, and one of the ways that we give our children to Molech is by teaching them the wrong values. But the other thing is by believing that it's okay to murder children while they're still in the womb, and they say it's just a fetus, it's not a baby, it doesn't have a soul. I know rabbis who say that it's only after you give birth that it becomes a live being, but that it doesn't make any sense. How could a 9-month-old child inside the mother's belly be any different than on the outside? Especially when you think that if you're in a car and you kill a woman who is pregnant, you're charged with a double homicide. So, I mean, really, these things don't make sense. We're living in a world that doesn't make any sense. And I think if Rabbi were alive today, oh my goodness, he would really have a heart attack. It's just awful. But we who know better, we have to do better. And we have to not be afraid to speak out. And that is the hardest thing for us, because we want to be liked. We want to be accepted. And it's not easy to say these things in today's world. And it's only getting worse. We're moving, as he said, from elasticity to plasticity. And then finally, this society will rupture because we've gone past the point of even past the point of immorality to amorality, where there's no longer a chance to turn around, just like we saw with Pharaoh. Powerful, very powerful message. Anybody have anything they want to add? No?
Well, yes, honestly, this portion is about to know the limits. Remember what the Torah says about the kids of Aaron? They died because they couldn't have enough. They didn't know the limits. Okay, that's the point. So, and this is about the Achare Mot, because when you don't know your limits, then you will have problems. Okay. If we look into um, the whole book until this moment, is talking about to, for example, have limits with food. For example, have limits with animals. We have limits now in with sexual relations. Okay, and this is preparing us to have the next portion, which is kedoshim. Okay, uh, because is talking right now more about what we know inside of us. Okay, in our inner part. Okay, next week we're gonna look to love your neighbor, which is your relationship outside of you with other persons. But right now, first we have to deal with ourselves, because who knows your your secrets? I will say, for example, I love to eat this, or I have to struggle with, for example, intimate sex. I mean, it's so personal. Okay, so the Torah is telling you, like, okay, know your limits, and this is not about the limits that the Torah is putting is over things that He create to us to enjoy this physical world. Okay, because food, um, intimate relations, things like that gives you pleasure, but the Torah is telling you uh, they have its limits. Okay, right. They have the the that you can enjoy because God created that, but you have to be prudent and also your behavior has to be different from other nations, because that is uh, uh, the main verse that Rabbi talk is about, that hey, do not be like Egyptians, like Canaanites, do not be like other nations, because they have their own thoughts about these pleasures I create, but the pleasure controls them. Okay,
Right.
so and for me, this is the point why people hate Israel. Okay, because we are spreading the message, hey, God creates the whole world, God create your sense, but you have to be a person with self-control. Okay,
Right.
do not let dominate. But the word, what is telling you, okay, the word today is telling you, oh, don't worry, okay, have the pleasure amount that you can handle, and then you will be happy, because what is really important is about your happiness, no
Right.
matter the happiness of the persons who are around you. Okay,
Right.
and because of this message, people start to hate Israel, because it's against their ideas, it's against of the way of this spirit that God is telling to Israel, okay, to behave, and that make us be different, okay. And we are, when you are different, people do not know what is different, and they are afraid about what is different, and so it's easy to hate them. Okay, I've been really, um, you know, uh, analyzing. I would say, for example, why so many universities in United States are protesting against Israel.
Mhm.
I mean, instead to concentrate or focus on their studies, they want to go out and protest against Israel. Okay, and then you start to see them like like worshiping like Muslims. Okay, it's incredible. Um, and, and, and when you start to see that, um, for me is that Israel is is like I don't know how to say that in English. It is that is a light, okay, which is close to an island, or
A
it's a
lighthouse.
tower,
A
a
lighthouse.
lighthouse, yeah, a lighthouse to the world, to say, hey, do not cross the limits, okay. And and it's like, oh, if nobody is telling me that, then I will be free. Okay, and and for that reason, for me, is the root of anti-Semitism. Okay, it's an spiritual war. Honestly, these people, it's interesting that they say, oh, we are not anti-Semitism, we are not we don't hate, we don't want to kill Israelis. Yeah, but they do not have the right to exist. So
Right.
how can you explain me, please?
Because there's no common sense.
Yeah, the no more common sense. Okay. Oh, I don't want to kill you, but you don't have the right to exist.
Right.
It's the very same thing. Okay. And but why? Because you are different. That's the point. And Apostle Rav Shaul, or Apostle Paul, I remember that I believe that he wrote this, that there is a spirit of God in the world, okay, but there is a spirit of the world, of this world, okay, the mentality of humanism, okay, and one is against the other mentality, okay, and it's a war. So the problem is not about uh, I want to kill you, but I don't want you exist. So how you can handle this is a spiritual thing. Okay, I don't want to kill your body, but I don't want you exist spiritually. Okay, so they want to destroy our identity. They want to destroy the message we spread, the Torah, the Ten Commandments, because that puts limits. Okay, and that is why more than ever, okay, today we have to stand up, okay, to be a lighthouse, okay, to the world, okay, to our families, to ourselves. But at the beginning, we need to control ourselves, okay. And this is something that is really hard because uh, the, the 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 spiritual world of this mentality is bombarding you with many mm, is attacking all your sense, I would say, okay, your ears, for example. Sometimes I start to sing some song. I really I like the rhythm, or I like the melody, but then I start to hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I start to think, oh, what I'm singing. Okay. Oh, it is so beautiful, the melody, but the problem is that the word lyrics are really are not really good. Okay. So then you go with social media, for example, or with television. Probably today less with television, but at the end is the very same thing. Because sometimes, for example, you are watching, I don't know, Disney movie, okay, for kids, and then suddenly appears on your screen something that is not good, okay, or start to like saying to the persons or teach to the kids, oh, you can be, for example, a gay person, and there is no problem, because I mean in these in these comics, then you have person of the same sex kissing them, in the kids 2 3 years old, the audience is looking to that, okay, so
That's normal.
and that is normal, okay, and you start to think, oh, but they are two lions. I mean, so how can be? It is something that is good, okay. So uh and that is something that is going to your brain,
Right.
and is showing you, or for example, you are looking to the news on social media, and then appears a woman dressed not properly, okay, and and you have to say, oh, I'm not interested. Okay, but what happens if you are weak at that moment? Okay, probably you start to see. I mean, I'm talking in real things, okay. Then is the very same thing, okay. You go to the street, and not all the people is wearing the right dress to dress, in not only women, I mean also men. I don't know. I've never seen, well, at my time, there were some gene, okay, to make, weights and have a good body, healthy body. But right now, kids, for example, I'm dealing with my kids. Oh, do not buy, for example, this is a powder which is for muscles. And I said to them, no, I will not buy you that because uh, this is not a natural product. They are telling you that it's natural, but you want to have proteins, so then go and eat meat and eat fish and eat uh, poultry, because that is what God create for you to absorb the proteins. Okay. But when you are telling me I'm gonna buy a powder protein, is that for sure in long term uh, you will have problem, okay, with your body. Okay. But why? Because kids right now, they want to be like very athletic. They want to be like superheroes, muscles, and they want to go senseless without t-shirts just to show up their body. Okay. And why they want to show their body? Because that is something about sexuality, to show, oh, look at me, I am very strong man. So that is the word is bombarding us constantly. And the Torah, what is telling you, hey, control yourself. Okay. Control yourself. Even in your marriage, control yourself, because it says that when your wife is in menstruation, do not uh, cover her nudity. Okay. So it's telling you, hey, control your inner part. Then, and when we compare this to what are the commandments for, is to bring us life. God wants that we have a full life, okay, that we can enjoy full life. But to enjoy, we need to enjoy with limits, okay.
Right.
And that is very easy. For example, God creates sugar. I work for the sugar industry. Yes, yeah, God creates sugar, but God creates sugars in the fruits. Okay,
Right.
God creates sugars in what? In when
Honey.
you process the honey. Okay, in dattils, in everything. Okay, He
Even the
creates the
carrot
sugar.
has sugar.
Yeah, even the carrots have
And
sugar,
beets.
and the
Yeah.
beets. Yeah, but the problem is when you process that quantity of sugar, okay, you only extract the sugar, okay, and what happened with the rest that nourish you?
Right.
You waste, okay. So you only start to eat sugar. In the addiction to the sugar, honestly, it says some persons that is worse than heroin and cocaine.
Right.
And nobody is talking about but the problems that we have with the diabetes, okay, the problem we have uh, with all these persons that cannot control their addiction to sugars is high around the whole world. And it's not about sugar industry. The sugar industry, they want to sell you their product.
Right.
Okay. The problem is that the consumption, people do not understand that you have the sugar is just a sweetener, but you do not abuse, okay, on that. That is why sodas are not good.
Yeah.
Because, for example, in a glass of soda, you are eating like 9 spoons of sugars.
Yeah.
Okay. And people they are not, with 8 ounces of glass. They are happy with a bottle of
Right.
1 liter or 2 liters for themselves. So how many sugar they are eating at that moment?
Right.
And if you add, for example, phosphoric acid, because they use phosphoric acid to that, then you are starting to acidify your body.
Right.
That is not good for you. So
No.
you are not living in the limits,
Right.
okay? And that is what the Torah is saying. Okay, the sugar do not prohibit to eat sugar, but it says, okay, but
Control.
control yourself about whatever, okay? Is the very same with, for example, if I yesterday I was with some friends. They are very religious. They are Christians, but they are very religious. Uh, and it's good to read the Bible and things like that. But when religion controls everything what you
Right.
do, it's not good, because there is a no balance and that is a problem with relationships, okay, even though with your own part, because all the time you feel guilty,
Right.
okay. Oh, I made this mistake. No, God wants you to live free, okay. So um, that is the main goal. Do not be like them, people who don't have any control. They live like animals, okay.
Right.
Now you have to live your life full, okay, with control.
Exactly. I just listened this week to a doctor on the radio who was talking about the huge problem of sugar here in our own province, and how there are so many children, even babies, who are obese, who have fatty livers, you know, because of the diets. And now they're coming up with a new, like a vaccine or a shot for babies, for children, to fight against the sugar. It's when we don't control ourselves according to what the Torah says, others will control us.
Yeah, it's sad that I look to some um, partners of my kids in the school, that they use it's not penicillin, is the other thing, is like a vaccine they put to control sugar,
Yeah.
okay. And they are shooting themselves,
Yeah.
okay, to control sugar, and for them is normal.
Yeah.
And I look at them and I say, how could it be, okay, that a kid can breakfast to McDonald's, at lunch for McDonald's, and at the night to McDonald's? What kind of nourishment did this boy have? Okay, so
That's sacrificing our children to Molech. All those things, teaching them those values. It's very, very sad. Yeah. And people don't realize it, that the Torah brings life in every aspect if we would just obey. Otherwise, we die. We are destroying humanity.
Balance is always the key, but not a crazy, rigid, but just a sensible balance. Because God created pleasure for us, but it's so sad now. I even go into sometimes the health food store, and everything has added sugar. And that's the corruption of big business. They want you to get addicted to sugar. I mean, we have to watch what we eat too, but everything, I can't believe it. Everything I look at has sugar. Even a can of, okay, it's better not to eat canned vegetables, eat fresh, but a can of peas has sugar in it. I also wanted to say something about the Haftorah portion. To me, I agree with what you said, Mauricio, too. The basic, with the mandate of Israel was to bring the Torah to the nations, and those who want to do what they want, they don't want those so-called restrictions, but also what Ezekiel says is so clear, because Israel itself now is not a light to the Gentiles. It's not a light to the nations. They are sacrificing to Moloch. The gay pride parades are one of the biggest in the world. There's no Torah. It's not a Torah-based society anymore. It's not a light to the world. So in Ezekiel, it talked about this like so clearly, like it's I've never seen it so clearly. It never registered as strongly with me as it did, because
and when Israel herself, when the people of Israel do what the other nations do, they're part of being vomited out of the land. We were kicked out of our own land at the time of the Babylonians for not keeping the Shemitah. There's something that that the land is his. It's something that we can't understand. It's beyond, it's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
But the land is separated. It's like the land itself is called the navel of the earth. It's at the very center of all things. And that's why we are called to a higher standard. Being chosen is not easy. We have a higher responsibility. And those of us who are called, when we don't live it, we suffer more, it's hard to accept, but it's true.
And when it talks about in Ezekiel again, how the nations will mock Israel, look what's happening today.
Yeah.
Mock and not say good things. And I mean, it doesn't excuse what they're doing, but God said that would happen.
And we can't go around waving flags and saying how proud to be a Jew I am, and don't hate me. Don't, we rally against anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism, you can't force people not to be anti-Semitism. You can't convince them. We have to be a light. That has to come. That's a spiritual thing.
It's like a spiritual cancer. It's so deep.
Yeah. Well, it was a wonderful message. Thank you, Mauricio, for your input. Thank you, Miriam, and thank you, Rabbi. Wherever you are, you're in a much happier and better place. So we continue every night. We continue to count the Omer.
Scary. Yeah. Okay.
We continue to count the Omer until we come to Shavuot, and just let's see how each of us in our own lives can continue to be a light to others, and work toward that, and learn to have balance in our lives, which is not easy. So thank you again, and I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you, God willing, we'll see you next week. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye-bye. Shabbat Shalom. Bye.